I tend to like tense up and hold your breath, and you start freaking out, all this sort of shit, and you forget to breathe.
Lukey, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm actually so excited for this one. So essentially, one of the reasons that I think you're going to be such good, like I've been so excited for this podcast, think you're going to do such a good job on here, is mainly because I remember when you first jumped on Set the Standard Community and you come to our like next level retreat and you just attacked. You went through everything and you attacked it like head first, especially with your own personal development and your own personal growth. And you've continued to shine and continue to grow. And it's so motivating and it's so inspiring. And like you've inspired so many people in the community that I'm super excited for you to, share your tips, share some of your journey, share some of the things.
Mm. Yeah, where do I start? Honestly, it's been a crazy 6 months. It's been 6 months now, and what can I say? It's from the moment I started, it was a bit rocky. I didn't know where I was at, and it took me a couple of months to actually gather myself up and really understand like why I was pretty much doing it. And um, that's when I started diving deeper into the coursework and the retreat and all these things that you have provided, for myself and for everyone around us. And I guess, finding my purpose and getting a deeper understanding on why like I was actually doing self-development was very crucial. And it wasn't until I started to realize and shed off the layers, and each layer that was coming off, it was like a different level that I was reaching. And it was crazy to like realize that I was just constantly beating myself up. And I feel like that's been a huge factor in my life. Um, you know, I just would always beat myself up. I'd always talk to myself so negatively. My upbringing wasn't quite the best, but it also wasn't the worst at the same time. We all are on our own unique journeys, and that's the main thing that we have to realize is that we're on our own unique journey. And it wasn't until like I started to realize that my self-worth was very low, and I wasn't really, accepting myself for who I truly was, and I wasn't really living my life authentically. And yeah, once I started to shed off all these layers and all this stuff, it was really really amazing to see what was underneath all those layers that I've been putting on myself. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey within the past 6 months.
It has been nuts. Tell us about some of your, like, I want to know, just like give people a bit of a background, like check, like what has been some of the most chaotic and some of the like darkest moments that you have? Like where were you? What were you doing? And who were you before you started leaning into the work?
Yeah, okay, so where does it start? It started,
Also,
I
Lukey,
started,
just pause. Just sorry, so sorry. I've got a coffee that's getting Uber Eats delivered. So if I just run up and jump, that's so fine. It'll all get like edited. I just don't know. I
yeah,
wanted it to come earlier, but it didn't.
yeah,
But
all
we'll
good.
go back where it started. Where it started.
Yeah, it all started from, I guess my childhood. My mum and dad split up when I was like 3 years old, and I was living with my mum, my brother, and my sister. And obviously, my mum being a single mother, raising us three kids, she done the best she could, and she pretty much like brought us into the world, obviously the way that she was shown and the way that she thought was best. And obviously during my upbringing, I started to rebel a lot in my early days during school. Like from primary school all the way through to high school, I would rebel. I'd be naughty. Um,
What would you do? How would you rebel? Just like angry at the teachers? You get in fights?
yeah, like I'd just always be seeking attention. I'd always be just that rebellious kid in the classroom, just always constantly like, causing chaos and mayhem, like throwing stuff at the teachers and just doing all naughty stuff. Like I'd be going like at recess and lunchtime, I'd be getting the fire extinguishers and like going into the teachers' classrooms and shooting them with the fire extinguishers. And I was just, oh man, like it was chaotic in my school times. And like I'd also be running around the playground with a couple of my mates, and it was just like a massive game, like who could do the most naughtiest thing. And it was like the more we got into it, it was like an adrenaline rush. It was like a more of an adrenaline rush to see like who could do the most naughtiest thing. So it was pretty much, it would just get more chaotic and more naughty as we went on. So what's more, some of the more stories were we
Well,
were getting
what about when you, because I was like naughty as a kid. What about you when you're like in your early 20s? Was there like what, drugs, alcohol,
yeah,
women, cars, like bad people? What was going on there? Because that sort of like, those years of development have like led you to where you were here. And then you just started tearing layers off of yourself to like
yeah.
transform it. I remember at the end of the tree, I was like, Luke, you look like 10 years younger, bro. Like at the end, I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
so walk me through like some of that, like
yeah,
that shit.
yeah. Okay, so in my 18s to like 25, 24, um, it was pretty dark and mysterious. It was just me and my mates. There was a big community of us, and we all so deep dived into the drug game, and I was so deep in the drug game, taking drugs like probably like every second day.
Like taking
Um,
drugs, selling drugs.
yeah, taking drugs, selling drugs. Just it got to a time when we were
What
like
drugs, by the
taking
way?
like cocaine, like gas, speed, marijuana, MDMA, like you name it, we've taken it. And it was a very dark path. And, would like steal cars, would take our mates' cars for joyrides. I've seen my mates flip our other mates' cars and nearly killed other mates. Like we've seen mates crash like at like 200 kilometers an hour. Like it was honestly like a very dark stage in our lives and my life. And that's when I started to realize that that wasn't the life that I wanted to live. And yeah, like it was just, yeah. And then it pretty much was like that, like for a while, like all the way from 18 to about 25. It got to a stage where I was doing cocaine probably like every second day.
What would that look
And
like? Was that what, were you working? Did you start your business then? Like what was?
yeah, like I did take a little bit of back burner and I took time off work and I was just selling drugs and just
Yeah.
snorting coke and just falling down into that real bad rabbit hole. And
So that look like waking up and shit? Like what did that look like? Like I just want to know, like just to like paint a picture of just like how dark it get. Was it like, oh cool, going to the shops today or something, and then like, oh I'm gonna sneak off to the toilet and then come back in the shops and no one even knows, but I'm like, fine. Like what was the?
yeah, right. So like I wouldn't even really go out anywhere. Like I would
Okay.
stay in the house and I'd get real like paranoid and
Yeah.
like um just close the blinds, just get the plate, fucking snort lines, drink alcohol, just be there with the mates that were all just doing it, and we'll just keep constantly chasing that high. And it just get to that stage where like we couldn't get that high anymore, so we just keep fucking trying to snort it and trying to get to that next fucking high, but it wouldn't get anywhere. Like you just stay at the same level and could bring yourself back down. And yeah, it's just a constant cycle of the same shit every day. And yeah, it's just yuck. Like I was just had enough and just flicked the switch and was like, nah, can't do this anymore. Like, got to turn my life around for the better. And then yeah,
Yeah. So you started business. What like
yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, so then I pretty much moved away from my mates into the city to get away from it all. I escaped into the city, found a new job. I was working for the council, all that sort of stuff. And then I started to really grind and dive deep into myself and finding myself that way, doing things that really made me feel good. Just constantly working myself back up, picking myself back up, going to the gym, constantly going for walks, everything, meditation, like all that sort of stuff to make myself feel better and feel more connected to the earth, because I just completely lost myself for a big part of my life. And yeah, so when I was at work, I was just constantly grinding away, and like I had to put drug dealing away from, like, put it away and put it behind me, and pretty much just work for my money and go work in nine to five with the council, and pretty much just saved hard while I was trying to pay for my rent, all that sort of stuff. And every little penny I was putting away, I then invested into skincare company. Because I thought I had a passion for skincare, and as time went on, I found a passion in, you know, um, self development and coaching, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so it was just, I was on that unique journey as well in life. But yeah, it was a very dark path until I started finding myself and building healthier habits as well.
Yeah. Crazy. And it was nuts, like, just to know that, because some of that stuff, like, I didn't even know. Have you got a story of when it was just wild? Is there one story that you're like, oh, share this one? This is a bit of a wild one.
Wow, man, honestly, there's heaps. Ah,
What's the
it's like,
stick out? What's the stick out?
yeah, what's one that sticks out? Like I don't know. Man, I've look. There's one that sticks out. Um, the house that I was at before I went into the city, the mate that I was living with, he came home off his head on ice and walked through the door, and me and my ex were sitting on the lounge, and came in and shredded the house apart and came in and blew our brains apart and was like, "It's fucking all you, it's all your fault, it's fucking rah rah rah." Just more like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and he goes, "You're the one that fucking told the police this and that about me causing troubles around you." And we're like, "We haven't even done anything. Like, relax." Like, and then he thought there was people on the roofs with lasers pointing down him, like pointing guns at him, and oh, it was bad, because then he started coming into my face and was like, "Fucking, what are you gonna do about it?" Rah, rah. I'm like, "Man, like, you need to relax now. Like, you're high on drugs, and I'm fucking high on coke too." Meanwhile, so it was not a good feeling. We're just sitting there like, "Fuck, what's going on?" And it was lucky that um, I quickly called up his younger brother, and his younger brother came and picked him up and got him out of the house. But yeah, then it was just constant, like, fucking police coming to the house and watching our houses and all this sort of stuff. But yeah,
How'd
that's
that make
just
you? How'd that make you feel, man? Like, what was like the dominating emotion when you were there? I would have
honestly,
been
so
scared as shit.
it like I wasn't really scared, because like I knew who he was as a person. It was more so like I was scared for my ex at the time, and like I felt like obviously she was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" And like, so I had to make her feel a bit more safer. Like, so I sent her upstairs, and I was like, "Stop! Like, you need to fucking realize what you're fucking doing." Um, I was just feeling very overwhelmed, I guess, very overwhelmed, a lot of anxiety, and just, yeah, I guess that pretty much just sums it up: anxiety and overwhelmed.
Yeah, which led you to, like, as I don't know you, it's like you were, and ended up being, like, after all of that, when you moved away, it's like you were a quite anxious, overwhelmed person.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
were the specific moments? What were the things? How did you start to strip that off? How'd you do it?
Man, honestly, if I'm going to be brutally honest, it was just letting go of my past, letting go of the past and evolving into my new self, letting go of drugs, letting go of alcohol, letting go of all those bad old toxic people in my life.
What are
And
what are like some specific moments, realizations? conversations that you've had, like with people? Like, what are the real things that made you go, oh, and then you're like, no, I'm not going back. I'm leaning into me.
Mm.
You remember any like specific moments?
I think when I got with my new partner, and then like the babies started coming along, I think that was a very big wake up call to me. It was like, okay, mate, like it's either this life or that life. And I was like, yeah, fucking go down this path, and I'm going to be there for my family, and I'm going to become a dad, and I'm going to become a good role model, and someone that's like, my family can actually look up to, and not a party boy anymore that, is just diving deep into the dark and mysterious world. So yeah, I just really was going, into shifting into the dad mode and being a more positive, empowering person.
Oh, so cool. So now along with your journey of like doing personal development, personal growth, like I'm interested in what moments there when you were like working on yourself, where like, because I know that there was like just personally from what I know, there was like a couple of moments at the retreat. There's been a couple of calls that you've had with certain people. You've gone out and done things publicly that have been like, oof, this has been nerve-wracking, whatever, but they've all contributed towards your growth. So what were some of like the difficult challenges that you have been challenged with your personal growth, or moments or conversations, and
Mm,
what were the realizations that you had from them?
mm. Oh man, a lot, honestly.
Let's go.
Let's start with just that the retreat, just mingling with complete, like obviously like you built the community, and we've connected through online Zooms, all this sort of stuff. But doing that alone has been stepping out of my comfort zone, because as having anxiety and all this dark past, it brings a heavy weight on your shoulders, and I didn't want to actually mingle with new people, and I didn't want to form any new connections. I was afraid of forming new connections. I was afraid of stepping into uncomfortable positions. I was afraid of jumping on a Zoom call with complete random people. I was afraid of speaking up in front of complete random people, and just being seen for who I actually am. And I still remember the first Zoom call jumping on. I was like, fuck this. I do not want to do this. But I told myself, well, this is the sort of shit you have to lean into to become this new version of yourself. And yeah, I guess that's been a huge factor for me. Stepping out of my comfort zone has been a huge catalyst for my growth. And yeah,
What are some comfort zone moments like that? I know there was a few at the retreat. There's a few you've done on social media. I want to hear the stories. I want to hear like you can get into details, man. I want to know.
I can. I
I
can
want
get
to know
into
the
so much
juice. Give me
detail. Oh, okay. So the first, oh man, I don't know. Okay, the details of it was a big one was the acting and the drama and standing up in front of other people, thinking of scenarios on the spot and acting out a certain scenario. Oh man, the feeling I was getting through my body, I was like, fuck this. Why the fuck did I choose this? But then at the same time, I pretty much had to stop and tell myself that this is what you got to do to grow. And this is the sort of shit you have to go through to get to that next level in life. And to be that person that you want to be, you have to go through these uncomfortable fucking situations. Otherwise, you're going to stay down there.
what
Uh,
was what was the situation like? Describe it to me. Tell me the story.
uh, which one? Honestly, which one?
do one of the role play ones.
The role play ones. Okay. The lover one. Okay, that hit me.
Tell us about the love one.
So we had to pretty much act out a role of was it showing love?
Who was it for you? Because it was tailored to you. Like, who did you have to show love to?
Yeah, I think it was I was showing love. From what I can remember, I was showing love, or I picked up a scenario of like I just broke up with my ex, but I was trying to get back with her, and I wanted to show some love. And then, so then I remember there was like four other guys standing there, and I had to go up and pretty much like show my love to be able to get, the relationship back. And as I went up there and I started to try and act it out, I was started to choke up and was like, um, I don't really know how to love, I guess. Like, and it started to fucking really hit me. in the feels, I was like, why can't I fucking do this? Like, why does this feel so damn uncomfortable? And it wasn't until like I started to like think about it, I was like, hang on a minute, like maybe like because me and you were going back and you were trying to teach me like on how to do it, like on a deeper level. And I was like, I physically can't do it like that. Like I felt like there was a block, you know, it felt like there was a kink in the fucking hose. And I was like, I don't know how to do it. And you're like, you fucking do it. Like get into it, do all this shit. And I was like, I can't. Like it's fucking not coming out. And the more that I was getting into it, the more I was doing it, the more uncomfortable I was feeling. But then after I realized that, you know what, like obviously I haven't been shown that in my life, you know, how to love on that deep level. And so that's why I struggle with that personally. And towards the end of it, like I started to break down because I was like, well, this is pretty, you know, it's pretty sad because you know, you're showing me how to love on a deeper level, and I'm telling myself I don't know how. So obviously, I haven't been shown that, and it really hit me in the feels when you know I started to feel all those emotions that were running through my body of like, oh, well, you know, um, I I wasn't around my dad like for most of my. I wasn't around my dad like for my upbringing, and obviously my mum showed me love in a different way than what like I wanted to receive it. And yeah, so I just started breaking down, crying, and letting it all out.
Which was crazy. What
It
what
was,
what do you think that did for you?
oh, what did that do for me? Honestly, it really opened up my eyes. And in the moment when like I was breaking down and letting it all out, and you know, Adam, I remember Adam was guiding me through the breath works as well, helping me out and grounding myself. Like after, like and during, like I once I started like shedding the layers off, I was like feeling so much more lighter and free, and like I was generally feeling the love from everyone around me. And I was like, this is fucking so different and feels so fucking good. Like, you know, and this has been something in my life that I have not ever witnessed. I've never witnessed such a thing in my life. And for me, that was a massive eye opener because I really looked at it like, where have I been living? I've been living under a rock with, you know, all this shit that I thought was normal. And now I've been brought into this new world of fucking unconditional love and support and all these people that uplift you. And the feeling that I was getting was like, fuck, like unreal. Like it was like a massive weight was taken off my shoulders, and I was just living my life with so much gratitude and love, and I could just live like authentically and just fucking, you know, open my heart up to like fucking a bunch of dudes that I've fucking only just met. It was fucking mind blowing, eh? It was mind blowing. But
That-
honestly, it was the best feeling that I had ever felt in my life. I'm not even joking. Like, no fucking other drug can fucking match that feeling.
I love that,
Oh,
Lukey.
honestly,
Wow.
like I fucking froth that feeling. Like I froth it. I froth it. Like, and there's no other way to fucking describe it. Like opening your heart up to gratitude and having that many people around you supporting you and uplifting you and fucking just pouring all this fucking positive energy into you. You just feel like, ah, fuck, you feel alive. You feel alive.
Like you take over the world, eh?
Yeah, you feel like you can just fucking do anything. And like, I've never had that in my life, and it just felt so good to have that in my life. Like finally.
And well then from that now, because there's like obviously there's like a whoa, like huge expansion, and there's collapse, and there's expansion, and there's collapse, and there's expansion, and you've like been putting in the work, right? You've been like doing reps. What are some things that you have like started to integrate, implement, some other challenges that you have done since to help you not only because one thing that I really respect about you,
Mm.
and a lot of people miss out on the opportunities. They'll do one thing, like, oh, I'll do this thing for like a week, I'll do this thing for one session, right? And then they just lose it all.
Mm.
And you're like, nah, I'm dedicated. Like, 6 months, I'm dedicated, baby. I'm keeping this shit. That feeling was great. I'm going in. And so what are some things that you have done in order to like maintain? Is there any moments, like any lessons that you have learned? And then how has that directly impacted your life?
Yeah. So look, I held that feeling for about a week after the retreat of that fucking gratitude, which is a fucking solid effort, to be honest.
That is
Um,
impressive.
and it was crazy because like I started like reading other people's energies, and like it was like fucking I was on like a different level, and I was like I kind of don't want to let go of this level. But that's when I once I started to lose that, that feeling, and that, that good vibration and that good energy that was rushing through my body. I soon realized that, okay, there's something that I have to do to, get back to that sort of state of mind and that state of feeling. So I pretty much knew to myself that I was never gonna be able to fucking withhold that fucking feeling like forever. And I just had to tell myself that, it's always going to be ups and there's always going to be downs. It's always going to be a constant roller coaster, but that's what you got to fucking, understand. And that's what you got to live with. But it was that I had to implement daily habits and daily routines and special things into my life to, constantly, make myself feel better
Like
and
what?
constantly.
I want to hear about them. What are just a few? What are some of the things that you've implemented, habits and things your routine? Because people listening probably like, oh, what did you do? Because like I might want to try that.
Yeah, so I've developed a really good morning routine. So I'd always be constantly having cold exposure. As soon as I wake up, I'll have like a 5 minute cold shower. No matter what, I will never turn that thing hot. Like it'll be freezing cold. Even in like when it was winter, it was like 3 degrees. It'd be like full blown cold. Make sure I'd be like full dialed in, get out of that, and then I'd go into like a 15-minute meditation, 15-minute breath work, just so that I can calm my brain waves down and, recenter myself for the day, so that I'm, starting my day off on a positive high note and positive energy. So yeah, that's been a real big factor. And then like I'll move straight into like my body movements, and I'll be doing like stretching and going to the gym and moving my body so that, I'm constantly feeling good. Like you can't just be sitting around and, sleeping in and doing all the bad habits. Yeah, to be at a certain level, you have to be doing certain things and implementing, good daily habits and routines. So that's been a huge big factor for me. And it's also, being more self-aware as well. Like certain triggers show up within like my relationship as well. So it's becoming more aware with my partner, and me becoming aware of like certain triggers that I have to then, control my emotions, so that my emotions don't, you know, take over my body. Because once I start to, lose that bit of momentum, and once I start letting that anger come back out, that's when you start to lose your. Well, that's when I start to feel my energy coming crashing down. So it's been a huge factor for me to realize that I need to always be constantly like holding myself on that, that positive note, and that good wavelength, and it's trying to find that balance, So
The
yeah,
high standard.
yeah, you sort of like have to hold it to a high standard, and yeah, it's honestly it's a very big. It's hard to explain it really. Like it's you have to be very wary of like what's going on um, around you to protect your energy.
Oh yeah, big time. So let's go
Yeah.
back into, because I love that you do that and share some of those things. Let's go back into what are some more moments. I'd like to hear some challenging things. Like maybe if it was like a relationship challenge, how did you navigate that? Business challenge, how did
Mm.
you navigate that? Like using the new tools, especially because I'm like, man, especially for the listeners, because I want to give them like some practical tools and things, and the stories that you've got with the challenge that you overcome. I know
Mm.
they'll be like, oh, I've got something similar. Then like, bam, we can get into
Mm.
something that may help them out.
Mm. Me being a dad, kids are fucking going around screaming, chaos, fucking everywhere. Also living with my missus mum as well, and her little brother, and just house is chaos, pure chaos. So for me, that is a huge fucking trigger point. And for me to overcome that, I've had to
When do you most get triggered? When is it when you're like, oh, like,
fucking yelling, screaming, fucking banging, fucking crying, like yelling, all of it. It's just, it's just, it triggers me really
yeah.
deeply.
Any
And,
noise in the house, noise,
oh,
disagreements.
and it's
Yeah.
just pure chaos. And it's like it feels like my whole world's crashing down. And it's not until I have to pretty much just literally stand there and center myself and pretty much just take a deep breath in, pause for like 4 seconds, and let it out, and just becoming aware of the certain feelings that are arising within my body and actually noticing what's going on around me, and pretty much just telling myself that this is okay. Like, it is fine. And they don't know any better. They're only little kids, you know, they only know that. So I need to just recenter myself and, reset my nervous system and just becoming aware and just, controlling my emotions so that I don't, start letting it all come to the surface and letting it all out. And could take it out on my partner and vice versa. So that's been a huge impact on my life, is being really aware of my emotions around my surroundings in my household, because that's a constant challenge for me, is just the kids and the chaos that go on in the house.
Yeah. Sort of like that quote where it's like, do you want to be a warrior in the garden or a gardener in a war?
Mm,
It's like
literally.
it's you just like learning. It's like, okay, I'm in the garden right now and there's chaos here. I could do some damage, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit into that stoic monk vibes. How did you what was your process of becoming good at that? Like how did you learn? What things did you learn
Mm.
to like get good at that?
It's been a journey, honestly. um, it's pretty much just been like me being like taught how to control and regulate my emotions and becoming self-aware. The more you become self-aware, and the more you become, aware to your triggers and what's showing up and why it's showing up and all this sort of stuff, then you can then notice it and label it. And that's when you can move through the work and pretty much just focus on the breath as well. Like, noticing that, your nervous system is fucking like that, like constantly in overdrive, like all the chaos. So your nervous system's up here, and you're pretty much just trying to bring it back down to a, baseline. It's I feel like it's all within the breath, because I tend to like you tense up and hold your breath, and you start freaking out, all this sort of shit, and you forget to breathe. And breathing has been a big factor for this. So what I do is I just stand there and I'll just breathe through the nose like for 4 seconds, and then I'll hold it, and then I'll hold it for like 4 seconds, and then I'll let it out. And then like it just like, re-centers the feeling, and it just makes you like be aware of everything, and you can then control your emotions, and then you can, come out and speak from a place of, not from anger, a place from, you know, your true authentic self. So yeah, that's been a real big factor for me.
And what benefits has that brought to your life, your health, your relationships, your wealth? Like,
Mm.
what benefits has all that brought to you?
It's still a work in progress. I still have my days. Like, we're not all perfect. Like, I do, I'm preaching it, but it's a journey, and I want to let everyone know that we aren't all perfect, and I'm still not perfect. But the thing is that I've got the tools now, and I'm constantly trying to use these tools. Yes, there'll be days where I fucking forget the tools. There'll be days where it just slips past my mind, but then I start to notice that it slips past my mind, because I'm still self-aware. Like, I'm, still in the work. I'm still doing the work. I then pick back up and I'm like, hang on a minute. you're doing the wrong thing again, pick back up, and then you can go again. So yeah, it's been a real big thing for me, was being like real self-aware.
Yeah, it's like all this unconscious wiring that you have in your
Mm,
brain, which has been stacked for so many years. And
yeah.
through the process of as just because I know you use like doing some crazy challenging things in person,
Mm,
doing some like consistently catching up with people and talking and like
mm,
and doing the work, because you've been doing so much work, like
mm,
actively working with so many people. It's so impressive.
yeah.
Like I feel like all us men should be working all the time on ourselves as hard as you are. And like by doing that for a period of time, it's like, yo, this is starting to work. And now I'm reprogramming my mind
Mm,
and installing some more conscious thoughts that are original. As I was reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra,
yeah.
literally, it was yesterday. I just read one of the passages in there. It's a
Mm,
Friedrich Nietzsche book. And he was just basically talking about how when you as a person start to gain your own new values and you start to learn like new values and you have your own values, is that
mm,
that differentiates you from the crowd or the herd of people. You're different from the norm. And the
mm,
thing is because you have your own set of values and everyone else has had their own values put onto them for what they should do. Like get it, just the normal standard, get a job, like work your absolute fucking ass off, talk this way, be this way, go party and have drugs and as a way out of the way escaping instead of facing the demons inside yourself, all that. You get these new values is that those people feel lonely.
mm,
And it's your job and responsibility because you feel bad and guilty once you've got your new values, because then people, you're like, oh shit, they feel lonely and they try to bring you back. And then you got to be strong enough to be like a murderer to cut those threads. And I
mm,
was like, wow. And that's what
yeah.
you're doing, man.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's been a big factor. Like I've just had to go fucking snip and like fucking let it all go. Because like pretty much if I didn't let it go, then I knew that I'd just get brought back down into all my old bad habits again. So, it's just letting go and just transforming into this new life and surrounding yourself with more positive and empowering people, like people that you want to surround yourself, and the people that you want to look up to, and the people that you are trying to build like your life around. You need to have all like-minded people around you, otherwise it's fucking impossible to get to that fucking stage.
How good is it having like
So good.
just available people around you all the
I
time?
love it. I love it.
Yeah, so do I.
And there needs to be more people in Sydney though. Like I'm struggling to find people in Sydney that are on fucking this journey. But you know what? Like it is what it is. Like
We'll get them.
we've got these people on. We've got the community. So that's like I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, you are right. Get them. That's actually a good one.
We are.
Look,
We're all getting them. If anyone is listening to this and they are in Sydney, well, I know we actually have a decent audience of people from Sydney who listen. The goddamn contact Luke.
let's go.
Let's go.
Fucking build this fucking community.
Yeah.
We all need the like-minded people around us so that we can push to that next level.
Yeah, because it is. It's
Ah,
it's so empowering, and it's crazy
100%.
when you're in it. Right, you just want to grab people and shake them. Hey, wake
Mm,
up!
wake up. Fucking let's go.
Because it is.
Oh,
It's so exciting. Like
yeah.
even when we did the leadership workshop, and it was only like you, your partner, and like Jesse when we did the leadership workshop in Sydney. But that was one of the most powerful workshops. That
Mm,
small one. We had like heaps of people at the other ones, and that one I was like, this is one of the most fun ones that we've done.
yeah. 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 It was
Which is great.
amazing, honestly.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I love that shit.
Yeah. So what tools, because I really like this in terms of like what tools do you use? What mindsets, have you got when you acknowledge things? Just for everyone who's listening, they're like, cool, I want to get like a tool out of this. What is some sort of tool? One of them that you mentioned was like literally when I get stressed, I just acknowledge my breath. 4, hold 4, breathe out. All right, come in, let's make another decision. But what are some tools that you do use or you have learnt that you find are quite powerful?
Stepping out of the comfort zone.
But what
I love
tool
it.
have you used to get out of that?
Man, it can range from like many things, like whatever literally makes you feel uncomfortable just by stepping into it. So
Tell us some uncomfortable shit.
what I okay, let's start. I fucking didn't want to like even speak to the camera. Let's start with that, right? I really struggled speaking and looking at the camera. So I was like, oh fuck, this is hard. I can't do this. And that this stemmed from your coursework, and you pushed me to do this. And by me looking at the camera and putting my face out there and overcoming that, there was a moment where I couldn't even do it. So I gradually built it up. So I was at home and I was just practicing and practicing and practicing every single day, just looking at the camera and talking to the camera. And then obviously I got better at it over time. So then I started testing myself and seeing, okay, let's push this into another level. So then I'd go into like the public eye, and then like I'd be at the gym, and then like I'll whip my phone out and start like talking around other people. And I'll be like, ooh, here we go. That's a trigger. I don't want to do that. That fucking makes me scared. That makes me so uncomfortable, because I start to think of all these thoughts and feelings coming into my body and my mind. I'm like, or it's all the fears of like people judging you, and like the spotlight effect. You feel like everyone's fucking watching you, and you just hide away and you tuck into the corner, and you're like, oh no, I just rather stay in that comfort zone. But that's not where the growth is. It's pulling the phone out and just continuing on doing it, and maneuver through that fucking feeling in your body, and just overcoming it, and just recentering yourself, and just focus on yourself, and focus on your voice, and focus on your breath, and just keep talking to the camera. Don't worry about what's going on around you. And that's a fucking huge thing that I've had to overcome, because it was just a very uncomfortable feeling. So over time I've built that up, and I've become so good at it now. Like, I go to the gym, and then the fucking gym will be packed, and I'll be like, I don't give a fuck what they're thinking. I'll just start recording my fucking, whatever I need to do. Even if people think I'm fucking weird, whatever, I'm on my own journey. Like they're on their journey. It doesn't matter. And yeah, that's been a huge factor for me. So I can now speak publicly on my phone and whip my phone out around anyone. I've built that to that level now. So that's been a huge thing for me. And another thing that I've been stepping into now is into the public eye in the city. Like, I'll go into the city and I'll walk up to a complete random person, and I'll just be like, I'll have my phone and I'll start recording, and I'll have a microphone, and I'll be like, what makes you confident? And like, I'll just go up to a complete random person, and I can put them on the spot. And like it's another thing that hits you in the field, because you're like, oh, they could reject you, they could tell you to fuck off, they could. You're dealing with all different sorts of people, and you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You're stepping into the unknown. So that's been a huge thing for my growth as well now, is stepping out into the public eye, and interviewing random people and all this sort of stuff has been a huge thing for me to step through as well, which is awesome.
And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music, baby. What were you like? Yeah, today, like, yeah. That quote hits me so hard.
Mm.
So what were you like before? Were you sort of like hands over your eyes, looking at the pavement, didn't really
Yeah,
want to look up? Like,
I
what was
didn't
that
want to
like?
be seen. I didn't want to be seen. I had so much anxiety. I had depression, like all the bad traits. Like, you know, um, I just would always freeze up. I'd get sweaty palms. Like, I'd get nervous. Like, I just wasn't a confident person. Like, I was just that shy, anxious person that was just like, push it to the side, and I would just fucking stay in the comfort zone.
But even
And
now, it's nuts because like it's not even like you're like, oh, he's a confident guy. It's like you've gone like way beyond that. So you
mm,
get people that could come in our community and be fairly confident. Sometimes I look at an exercise where it's like, hey, one of the things that we challenge in the community is like like do something vulnerable in the media. That's one of the dare to be seen. It's like, and some people are like, no, not really. But I'm like, all right, you think of something recently that like you're ashamed, guilty, or embarrassed of, and you record yourself a video of you live and tell that shit like on social media. You bet you're gonna break through some confidence bullshit. You're gonna break through that shit immediately. As soon as everyone's seen, it's like, oh, forgiven, gone. Everyone's seen me here. I am healed. It's a crazy healing process that we've got now of like, be seen by the world in your
mm,
shit. And
mm,
that like, vastly like makes people grow, which is like a way that you've done. And now
mm,
you're like uber confident. It's not like
mm,
normal level of confidence, which I know you're smiling at. It's like an uber confident, and you're like so authentic
mm,
with how you come across to people.
mm. Yeah. Look, like I have gotten so much more confident, but I still have my days. Like
Yeah,
there's still
we all
there's still
do.
there's still things that I'm still trying to overcome, and there still always will be. Like there's always going to be moments where I don't feel comfortable and I don't feel confident in doing certain things, but it's having the courage to step into the moments where you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And with that courage, you can go a long way. And that's where you start to build the inner confidence. It's having the courage to step into the uncomfortable situations.
yeah.
And yeah, that's been a real big thing for me, is just being building that courage to step into that uncomfortable feeling, because I just, yeah, like it's been a big thing that I've just brushed under the rug my whole life. I just didn't want to, step into that uncomfortable feeling.
How have you like progressed? Like, I want to hear about some stuff about like relationship progress, because a lot of people get stuck in there. I know you've had some like rocky parts, down, up, down, up, down. How have you like overcome that, and what are some moments, because we're all working on it always continuously, but I want to know about some triumphs, some wins when you're like, this was shit, and then whoop, now I'm winning.
Mm, mm. Um, I try to have a deep conversation with my mum, and I pretty much just wanted to tell her the journey that I was on, and like get a deeper understanding on like her life and like my life, and like how I was raised as a kid, and how it affects me to this day, all this sort of stuff. But I did get shut down, and she didn't
Like
want to have.
what? Tell me
Yeah,
about it.
she just shut me off and was like, I don't want to have this conversation. And obviously, like, there obviously probably is a bit of guilt, shame, all this sort of stuff that she's holding on to, and she doesn't like stepping into uncomfortable situations, which I totally understand and I totally get. So I didn't push it onto her like much more. I was like, okay, like that's my mum. That's I just got to accept her for who she is. Like she doesn't want to have that, uncomfortable conversation, then she doesn't have to have it. But it kind of hit me because I was like, well, like why? Like you're my mother. Like why can't we have this conversation? Like
Yeah.
like it really sucks. Like all I'm doing is opening up to you. Like that's all I'm doing. Why don't you want me to open up to you? But yeah, like every time like I'd try and bring it up, like she would just be like, no, no, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. But that's obviously the uncomfortable feeling that she was getting, and she's one to not step into her fears, and she's got a lot of fears. Like she won't even drive like 15 k's past her house, like that type of fear. Like I'm scared to drive the car, like that. Her fear, she's got so much fear in her, and that's, I guess, why I've had a lot of fear in myself as well, because I've been brought up around it. So I've had to overcome my shit, like, because of my surroundings. So it's been a big challenge for me
Are you
to,
proud of you? Are you proud of yourself that you?
yeah, 100%. I'm proud of myself.
Because
Like
you like broke curse, bro.
yeah, like I'm super proud of myself because I know how fucking hard it is, and I know how, challenging it can be. And to do this sort of work, it's not for the fucking faint-hearted. Like you have to have that courage in you to like step into this shit, and it's not
For
easy.
warriors, for sure. It's like
Yeah,
it's for warriors, but you also just got to like make that decision, because it's like, when you started, it's not like you were in a warrior state. It's like you were super anxious. You just put yourself in the right environment. You're like, I'm going here.
exactly right. And look, I was pretty much stepping into the unknown from the start. Like I didn't even know like what the fuck to expect. But like as time has fucking gradually gone on, I've soon realized like, what it's all about is, pretty much just dealing with your past traumas and, shedding off fucking each layer and layer and layer and becoming this new fucking confident version of myself.
Yeah.
Um, which is fucking super powerful because, my self-worth was fucking pretty low at one stage. Like I was always constantly telling myself that I wasn't good enough, and I pretty much believed it. Like You know, we talk to ourselves and we tell ourselves like, I'm not good enough, you know, I'm not capable of doing this. And we're programming our mind into actually believing it, and we fucking believe it. And now that I've fucking reprogrammed my mind into, you know, I am worthy, you know, I am capable, I am fucking good enough, all this shit, like my life has fucking drastically fucking changed for the better. Like just having that fucking positive fucking outlook in life now.
So what would you say to people who are still smoking, drinking, taking drugs? What would you say to them? People who are trapped where you were.
Good question. Let me think about that one.
Get aggressive if you want.
Get aggressive. It is a dark path, and you are not alone. You are much more capable than what you actually think you are, and that there's much more to life than drugs and alcohol and partying. There is so much more to life. Like, start building your future and start building the life that you deserve to have, you know, and stop brushing it under the rug and stop trying to escape reality, because that's all you're doing. You're just trying to mask all the problems with the drugs and the alcohol. You're trying to hide your emotions, all this stuff. To stop that and actually fucking let go of it all and fucking evolve into the new person that you actually don't know what you actually are capable of, you know? And it's crazy because that's been a huge part of my life. So I can speak from the heart, and it's like, you think that the feeling that you get on, you know, taking drugs, and the feeling that you get from having alcohol and all fucking even steroids, all this stuff, you know, there is much more to life. And the feeling, yes, when I was taking fucking steroids, I felt like the fucking man. Like I felt like the god in the fucking gym, but that was just my motherfucking ego. My fucking ego, the big fucking macho man, fucking taking steroids, all this fucking shit. Like, I've woken up, I've let go of the fucking old ego, and I've transformed into this new fucking version of myself. It's so fucking powerful because now I don't have to fucking constantly be so insecure about my fucking body and how I fucking look. Oh, that girl's not gonna think I'm hot because I'm not taking steroids. Oh, I don't have fucking big muscles like that fucking guy over there, because I'm constantly thinking of what other people are thinking about myself. I'm always getting caught up in the fucking thoughts of what other people fucking think about me. When all that matters is how you view yourself as a fucking person. It's
makes you
all it is.
makes you so free.
100%. You just have to accept yourself for who you are and live authentically. And
It's a
until,
process.
yeah, it is a process and it's a journey, but it's not until you start to realize these things, you're going to be fucking stuck in that hole for fucking a long time.
What would you say to people? Because when let's say they're stuck into that position, because
Mm.
not a lot of people think like there is a stigma around like, you know, even when you start, right? Oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. So I'd rather the pain of living in shit and drugs and steroids and climbing some fucking egocentric hierarchy rather than facing off with my own demons, be held with people, learning how to fucking be loved and becoming fucking successful internally and externally. What do you say to people who like can't take that first fucking step?
Ask yourself what you truly want. Do you want that lifestyle, or do you want that lifestyle? The fucking dark, mysterious lifestyle of constantly fucking chasing shit, like chasing the successful lifestyle, chasing the fucking money, chasing the girls, all this sort of shit, but you feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
You're just stuck in that fucking moment and you just keep relapping. Or you can come from there over to this side and put in the fucking hard work. Yes, it's not going to be easy, but you signed up for it. It's not easy, but over time, it's going to get gradually easier and easier and easier. The more you work and repetitions you put in, it's going to get easier. It's going to get easier. But guess who wins in the end? The people that put in the work, the people that do the hard work, the people that do the inner work, the people that, put themselves out there into uncomfortable positions, all this sort of stuff. They're the people that fucking win in life.
Dude.
Not the people that are living that fucking fake lifestyle of the drugs, the alcohol, the chasing, all this negative shit. They're not the people that are going to win in life. It's just a fucking short little term fucking thing. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be fucking a huge gain.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I
That's
hear
what
you.
that's what you got to start to realize.
Yep. I like using silly analogies and metaphors like fart jokes and sex jokes and stuff. And I have this thing where it's like for men, because I used to do this, I used to fart in front of my partners all the time. And now I'm dedicated. I'm like, I'm not farting in front of my partner. I'm like, no way. I used to like think I'm not doing it. Like if, and then I use this analogy, right? And it's only accidentally if one slips in some cases, I'm like, God damn it. I apologize. I'm like, sorry, didn't mean to fart. I don't like doing it. I'm like, no way. Like, I'm like, if I put myself on a plane and I was sitting next to two Victoria's Secret models, would I fart? No fucking way. I'd go to the toilet. I'd hold that shit on. If it was a 10-hour flight to Dubai or some shit, I'm not farting. No fucking two Victoria's Secret models here the whole time. No way in hell.
I love it.
And I think the analogy works like well for you when you were saying is it's like, if you were someone who was, drugs, steroids, all the shit, right? You fucking, maybe you did like fucking prostitutions in the past, or you fucking did some shit you regret, or crashed some fucking cars, or worked your ass off in business to the bone and you're a workaholic, whatever it is. It gets to that point, it's like, well, if you had, right, put it this way, the most beautiful relationship and the most beautiful partner, you had two amazing kids, this is the most normal stuff. Your business is thriving and successful, and you're making impact, and you're like supporting people, you're helping them get out of their shit. You're like encouraging people, you're inspiring. Would you trade that for a few lines on a plate and some late nights?
Oh, wow. That fucking hits me in the fucking feels. Because I can relate. I
Oh,
can relate. I can honestly relate. It's fucking like it's crazy. Like you think because you're in the moment, that's all you know. You don't know any better. But it's until you start to let go and, you know, change as a person and getting a little bit of taste on what's on the other side, then you start to realize. But it's not until you start to get a little taste on the other side that you just stay stuck in that same fucking environment, and it's very toxic.
what was your first taste like? I'm not sure it was at next level, whatever. There might have been like one of the exercises or challenges or something that you did, or might have even been a story on a group call. I'm not sure when you were first like, whoop, that was uncomfortable. I'm gonna fucking do it anyway, and then had your taste of it.
Mm. It all started when I first jumped onto the Zoom calls.
Yeah,
I didn't want to like I don't want to be seen. Like I was like, oh, I'm so fucking nervous to fucking speak in front of all these fucking people. I didn't want to speak. Like, and then I remember when it first came around to my time, it was like, oh, welcome Luke into set the standard, and he's got to share one win and fucking one challenge. I was like, oh my fucking god, this is so nerve wracking. Like because I just was like afraid of like fucking up like what I had to say, or like I'd just be constantly thinking of like what are other people going to think of me, and what are they going to think of fucking how I talk and how I pronounce things and all this stuff. Like it's just been a constant fucking journey and constant challenges like throughout the journey. So it's
yeah.
fucking
Do you have any
yeah.
stories of when it like some other stories that you remember of like real specific, like someone said this or you did this or like
Mm.
had a breakdown moment or something when you were like,
I was on a I was on a breathwork session with Nick. Right. Let's go on to this one. I was on a breathwork session with Nick. I was fucking breathing away and I was tapping into the body and all this sort of stuff. And because I was doing breath work a certain way every morning, I was so programmed into doing that in his. So what I was doing was he was pretty much telling me to breathe in and out the mouth like that, right? But what I was doing, like, I was doing it for a while, but then once my body started to like feel a bit like funky, I was then doing a deep breath and holding my breath. And right, and I held my breath, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh," like, and it fucking hit me, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Oh, like, are you all good? Like, is everything okay?" I was like, and I full broke down. I started crying, and he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I was like, I don't even know what just happened. I was like, I thought like that's what I was meant to do. Like, and then it just really hit me because like I felt like I was being judged by like the tone. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, oh, like it felt like I was being judged on what I was doing. And I told him, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I felt a bit judged on what I was doing just then. And he was like, oh, fuck. Like now I feel affected. And I was like, "Fuck, we're both infected right now." And it was pretty funny. Like we're literally just standing there, we're like, "What the fuck's going on right now?" And we're like, "Oh, like okay, maybe we should just like take time to reflect on this and like like see where each other's at and like maybe we should just end it here." And I was like, "No, it's all good. Like it's fine. Like it's totally fine. Like I just completely lost track of like where I was at because like when you do breath work, you fucking have all these sorts of feelings and like I just completely lost where I was at. Like and I held my breath. And it was I was just triggered by the tone of the voice. And it's obviously stemmed like from being judged. And I was
Oh,
like, fuck. I'm like, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's just that it's just one of those fucking feelings that I fucking witness, and it's just one of my fears of being judged.
man,
And
I am so much more impressed now that you got naked.
hmm, yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just like it hits me. And judgment's been a huge fucking factor in my life. Like
Yeah. So I'm saying.
it's a huge factor in a lot of people's lives, not just mine.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
a lot. Like
Just
a lot of people walk around in fucking fear of being judged, and that's why they mask all the insecurities.
yeah, and that's why it leads to them to only get to a certain level of success. Or when the more success they get, the more stressed out they become. Like I noticed that with some people, they get successful, they work hard for it, and they're like, oh, I'm so stressed out, I just got to hide back into my work. And then they get stuck in their work, and then they just hide and hide and hide and hide and hide away to the point where like their partner comes in, like, oh hey, and they're like, oh, don't judge me, like
Mm,
I need to just work.
yeah,
I learned a
100%.
pretty cool mindset technique tonight, just in terms of like investing. I thought this was cool. Listen to some investing thing. And they were like, this morning, this is in the millionaire mind, secret of the millionaire mind. They said for every single dollar, like you have to set up in like your banking system, every single dollar you earn, there has to be a percentage of that that goes into investing. But they're like, how we approach that, for every single dollar you put into investing, you must put onto celebrating yourself.
Mm,
And I was like, that
mm,
is one of the best things I have heard, because most people, their mindset is, I got to invest everything to free myself. But forget that there's this inner child or this fun or this reason that we're alive.
mm,
And we've got to go and play and be abundant and experience blowing money, and to put us into a new frequency of, oh, I want this more. I want to have this experience again.
mm.
And I deserve it, and attracting in like a new frequency. And I was like, that is so brilliant. And I believe that comes, what you're saying, same with the, you know, being judged and scared of being judged. It's like, okay, for
Mm.
every little time I think I'm being judged, now I have to go and do something and get outside, as you mentioned, my comfort zone in a different way. Otherwise, we build a prison for ourselves. We build a prison for ourselves that we don't even know is there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's not
Crazy.
it's not until we start like realizing all these sort of things, then that's when we can, start to maneuver around it and start making a change.
Yeah. And I love how like you've got your business, you've got your skincare business, you've been working so hard on your relationship, building things with your kids, even though moments have been like up and down, and you're like breaking through in business. And now you've like found your passion. You've like gotten this next level confidence that you're working at every fucking day. And now you're coaching people on like becoming self-confident, and you're helping them become more confident, and you're helping them break through, which is like so motivating and so inspiring from you. So for all the listeners that are listening, we're going to give them a challenge in a second, but where can they just find you, Luke Hemsworth? Where can they find you on Insta?
Coach Luke Hemsworth.
Coach
Coach
Luke.
Luke Hemsworth. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, Facebook. I'm on them all.
Yeah, going hard
Um,
in the gym
yeah,
videos, in the public videos. You
literally,
guys
like
got to see it. It's
I'm
nuts.
just diving deep into what I truly love. I've found my passion, and I love doing what I do, and I love helping others. Like it's just what comes naturally, and
Mm.
that's when you know you've really found your passion, when it just comes naturally, and it just feels so good to just get out there and do, make a positive impact on people's lives.
So cool.
I just love it.
How often do you see Thor?
Oh, fuck, I wish I could, eh? Straight in.
You got that last name, baby.
Fuck
What
me.
I
Let's
gotta
fucking tee up and fucking promote my fucking page.
I want to leave everyone who's listening with a challenge. Right. So that they can implement like immediately. They listen to this podcast and they're like, all right, I got to do some shit because I'm motivated after this. What do you challenge them to do?
I challenge them to whip out their phone in a public setting and do a talking video on their story, Instagram stories.
Oh, I like it.
I know it's so fucking cringe, man. A lot of people think it's so cringe, and I was actually running a free 5-day challenge, and I had that as one of the challenges was for people to be seen on their Instagram story, and the amount of people that didn't fucking do the exercise, it was fucking unbelievable. Because I didn't want to step into the uncomfortable fucking position. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, you are who you are. Like, I'm not going to force it on you. But just remember, this is the work that we got to do.
Yeah, I like there's a lot of medicine in regardless if you go to do something, you get challenged and you know there's going to be a result there and you're like, oh goodness, I don't want to do this. Regardless if you do it or you don't do it, is there is always some sort of magic or medicine in the madness. And there's a part of you who wants to break free, who does not want to care, who does not want to be judged, who wants to be able to love as freely as possible, be strict to their word and their integrity. You want to be recognized as that superior person and be extremely and successful in all of your endeavors. And a fear of judgment is a huge thing that comes up that prevents people from getting there. And there is some medicine in that. And it's awesome that you're doing that. So Lukey, thank you for coming onto the podcast. Thanks for being in the community. Thank you so much for leaning in and trusting us and doing the work and showing up consistently. You're just a great example of a superior man who's someone who does do the work inside and out. And I'm just absolutely blessed and thrilled to live life and have you as part of mine. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for guiding me through my journey. Thank you for, setting the standard and pushing us to that next level. I really appreciate it. I really do. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in this position I am today. So I just want to share my love and my gratitude to you today for being there for me and holding the space when it's needed, and for building an amazing community with like-minded individuals. So,
Thank you
yeah.
so much, bro. That makes me feel so excited. Yeah.
Woo!
I take that in, man. That makes me feel incredible. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Lukey. If everyone liked this,
Anytime.
please follow the podcast, follow Lukey, hit subscribe, like, share it with a friend, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
See you later.